and there's photographs of, I think you're in some of the photographs as well. Those all appear to be social settings.
Yes, that's my memory. If there were social settings, I don't know. Epstein's, if he had, whatever the nature of the president's friendship, if you will, or however you want to define that with Epstein, I was never witness. I think they were friendly, like people are in social settings. I don't think they were close friends.
Here is some video of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein partying together in the 1990s. Joining us now, Brendan Ballou, a former federal prosecutor and Justice Department attorney, and Christy Greenberg, a former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst. She's also the host of the YouTube show Courtside with Christy Greenberg.
I just don't even know where to begin tonight because I don't know where I'm going to start, Christy. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start with this fact, and Alicia was very good and very nice and polite the way she put it, but I'm going to put it more direct and blunt. Ghislaine Maxwell is a convicted pedophile, and she's full of crap. And to sit there and do this interview and pretend like, I don't know, what are we talking about again? Why am I here? What are we doing? And, this relationship, well, you can call it a relationship. I don't think it really was a relationship. The reality of it is, this is now, in my view, and I hope America sees this as complete exposure of the lie that's being perpetrated in front of the American people. How do you think this plays? I mean, you've got, my view is this is a setup, just like we saw with Mueller, right? Where Bill Barr went out in front and sort of laid down the tracks and told everybody what to think about the thing they were going to read or hear about later. This is a lot of that, I think. How do you see it?
So reading through this, it is infuriating to read because any prosecutor worth his or her salt that's going through this as she is lying would call her out on the lie. There was a trial. There are exhibits, there's testimony, there are things you can call her out on where when she's spouting nonsense, say, well, what about this? What about this? You know, when she said things like, hey, I was bringing him multiple masseuses per day, he's getting all these massages. You never thought anything was inappropriate? No. You never thought any of these women were underage? Absolutely not. Like, are you blind? Like, these girls were 14. I mean, it's just defies belief. And the fact that he would just ask the question, move on to the next question, he's not interested here in getting to the truth.
That part.
He is not trying to press her in any way. And if you were a good prosecutor, when you say in the beginning of this proffer, hey, if you lie to us, we can charge you with the crime because it is a crime to lie to a federal officer. And then she goes on and lies. At that point, you basically have to say, hold on, I'm going to stop you because if you keep going down this path, you could get charged with more crimes. And that never happened. He just seemed to accept everything she was saying. I just give you one example. She said that every 15 minutes for 2 years, the prison guards woke her up and she could not sleep. And that caused her to have cognitive damage. That did not happen. That just did not happen. At sentencing, she even said it was like 30 minutes. They would come in with a flashlight. Like, she exaggerated. She made stories what they weren't. You could see the changes in the stories. She claimed at one point that there's a fake photo of Prince Andrew, her, and Virginia Giuffre. And she said it was a conspiracy among the prosecutor, a journalist, and one of the victims' attorneys. She's spouting out crazy. And there's no, like, what evidence do you have to support that? What are you talking about? How can you say these things when there's evidence to the contrary? None of that happened. There was no pushback. And why? The reason why is because he liked what she said, clearing Donald Trump. Okay, you want to clear everybody else? Fine. But you cleared my guy? So, okay, I'm not gonna press.
Let's go to Brendan, because I want to follow up on something you said about the Virginia Giuffre photo that Ghislaine claimed was a fake. She also said in her testimony that she didn't remember if she had ever recruited a masseuse from Mar-a-Lago, which Virginia Giuffre won damages. She had testified under oath. Ghislaine Maxwell, did she get herself in any trouble with this interview just because she did say some things that weren't true?
she only gets herself in trouble if this administration had any interest in prosecuting her, which it seems that it does not. Christie used the expression infuriating, which I think is exactly right when you're reading this transcript. It's infuriating on the substance. It's also infuriating on the process. The fact that Todd Blanche, the #2 official at the Department of Justice, and President Trump's former personal attorney was the one conducting this interview made very clear that there would be very few consequences if Ms. Maxwell lied. And if I can add just one more point to this, which is, as Christie and any prosecutor knows, it is completely inappropriate to be releasing an interview transcript like this. The Justice Manual, which is the Bible for prosecutors, makes clear that this sort of prejudicial evidence shouldn't be released prior to a prosecution. And I think what makes this so depressing, honestly, is the fact that it's being released makes clear that there is absolutely no interest on the part of this administration to identify people that may be implicated in crimes connected to Epstein and Maxwell, but who haven't been charged yet.
I think that point among so many, Christie, sticks in my craw, because that's really the end game here. It is, as you said, let's just clear my guy, we're good. Everybody else, you're on your own. To what you raised, Elise, about this whole idea of, well, did you ever recruit a masseuse at Mar-a-Lago? No, never did that. The question follow-up would be, well, did you ever, try to recruit someone to be a masseuse, right? Because you can honestly say, that Ms. Giuffre was not at 16 a masseuse. She was reading a book to learn to be one when she was recruited. So is that kind of playing with the semantics and sort of around the edges? I want to play for you, though, another galling moment in this, where she was asked about the Wall Street Journal birthday book. Let's take a listen to this.
Do you remember asking President Trump to submit a letter for that?
I do not.
And do you remember, would you have been the one to do that, or would somebody else have done that?
I did ask some people. I don't remember Mr. Trump. I don't remember who I did ask, but Epstein also asked people himself directly.
Okay.
So it could have happened that way, if it happened at all.
What the hell?
That's not much fun having to ask for your own birthday tribute.
Right. All right. So, Mr. Epstein was calling, hey, Jeffrey, Mr. Trump, could you send me a little thing I could put in a birthday book I'm putting together?
For myself?
I mean, how stupid do these people think we are? I mean, to be honest, you really can't escape the obvious here, and yet there are going to be countless people out there who are going to get sucked into this narrative and believe, which is why they're doing it the way they're doing it, so that when all the documents, if they ever do come out, whatever, we'll get to what's in the House, what they received today, when all of this stuff starts to flesh out and Donald Trump's name is on every other freaking page, at that point, you so poison the well with trivial crap like this. Where does that leave us? Where does this all go?
So I think they very intentionally put this out to frame the narrative. And they had Barr be deposed earlier this week, where he supposedly cleared Trump, even though he was never briefed by the SDNY U.S. attorney at the time on the investigation and wasn't in a position to know what was going on with this investigation. So he can't clear anybody. So they said that. Then they followed it up with Maxwell. All of it is designed to say, nothing to see here. You don't need to worry about what's mentioned about Trump in the file. And I don't expect that you're going to see that being produced to the House. I don't think they're going to give you the mentions of Trump, because then it could become public. And I just don't think that they're going to take that chance. Instead, I think what you're going to see is a whole bunch of nonsense that's already been made public, that we already know about. Or if there's anything where victims have said damaging things about some of the political enemies of Trump, maybe you'll get that. But I don't think you're going to see anything about Trump. I don't think they're going to give it to you. And what's Comer going to do? He's not going to enforce the subpoena.
Right.
So they hope this will frame the narrative. People will be happy with what she's saying. I don't see how. And the real question, again, for the Department of Justice is, do you believe this garbage? You put this out there. You interviewed her. You didn't stop her at any point and say you didn't believe her. Do you believe this? Are you vouching for her credibility? Have you done anything to corroborate her? Because the victims are corroborated. They got a conviction at trial. When they said she abused them and when they said he facilitated her abuse, that was proven at trial. What proof is there that she's telling the truth? Why are you promoting this? I mean, there are so many questions that Congress should be hauling his butt before Congress to testify about why he conducted this interview in the first place, what he's done to corroborate her, and why he's made it public.
Bridget, I thought one of the most offensive parts of this transcript is where Ghislaine Maxwell actually questions people who testified against her at trial. I mean, she doesn't specifically name victims. It certainly feels as though it is an allusion to the victims. I want to read to you a statement from the victim's attorney. This is Brittany Henderson. Quote, Ghislaine Maxwell was federally indicted on 2 perjury counts as a result of her testimony during her civil deposition. Having been convicted of sex trafficking, she is now in jail, presumably hoping that she will receive a pardon from President Trump. I can't imagine that her testimony will be given much weight by anyone with any knowledge whatsoever of her involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. One of the other things I was struck by in the transcripts that were released were the fact that she seems to be casting herself as the victim, right? Which is something that we have heard before. We have heard allies of the president workshopping this language. We know the basis of her appeal to the Supreme Court is predicated on that sweetheart deal out of Florida, which she believes should have also covered co-conspirators. Who do you think? I get that her audience is Donald Trump, right? And that she is in some ways playing to Donald Trump. But this is also a person who has an appeal that she wants to go to the Supreme Court. I wonder if her audience is in fact bigger than Trump himself.
Yeah, certainly. It's bigger than Trump. It includes the Supreme Court. I think in a way it's the entire American public, which is, it seems that Maxwell has handed the president an enormous gift, which is she has apparently exonerated him from any crimes associated with Epstein. Now she potentially gets her reward. She's already been transferred to Camp Ryan, which is a lovely detention facility with a very stately gate and a sort of hacienda design. If you're going to go to prison, that is the place that you want to go. I think the question is whether that is going to be enough, whether she is going to have her sentence commuted or whether the president is going to pardon her entirely. And to make that politically plausible, she needs to be recast as a victim here. And so I think this transcript is part of a larger effort to turn the victims into the perpetrators and turn the perpetrators into the victims.